You were born trivializing sin. Is that obvious to you? The reason you do that is the same reason I do. You long to be in control. I grew up a control freak and it was obvious. You may not look like a control freak, but your longing for control is your big problem. To exert control, you must trivialize sin. There is no way around that. Would you like to be honest about sin instead of trivializing it? The way into honesty is a surprise because it means giving up your control by maximizing sin. Catch that? Maximizing sin frees your heart from that longing for control. Let's explore how to maximize sin. First, notice that sin is not good and therefore deserves and requires some kind of response. What does sin deserve? Does it deserve your impatience, anger, or wrath? You know it deserves something, and that is why you trivialize it so you can deal with it your way. The Apostle Paul says sin deserves death. Death is serious. Do you think of death when you think of sin? Paul also says God is so serious about sin that he passed over all of it to display his righteous response to it at the cross. Ponder that. That means God's judgment at the flood and his burning of Sodom and Gomorrah with fire from heaven did not deal with the seriousness of their sin problem. Instead, God became a man to carry at the cross the full weight of what all sin deserves. Do you take Paul's insight seriously? Do you think of the death of Christ whenever you think of sin? There is more because Paul adds the big surprise in God's grace. He says the cross displays God's righteousness by revealing not only that God is righteous, but also that God makes righteous those who are of the faithfulness of Jesus. So whose faithfulness is your righteousness? Is your faithfulness your righteousness, or is Jesus' faithfulness your righteousness? Let's again apply this to sin. When you think of sin, do you also think of the gift of the righteousness of Christ as God's way to resolve sin? Now let's talk about the surprise in noticing sin. You cannot notice sin unless you draw a line between what you should and should not be and do. To be human means to draw this line every moment, every day, and we all do it. What do you use to draw this line? This line is a moral standard, and when you make up your own standard, you dehumanize yourself, you throw the world out of focus, and you trivialize sin. That is the first step into trivializing sin. That means the first step out is to use your true standard buried under your shame. Every year I lead hundreds of people, mostly Mormons, to honor their shame and bypass it to discover their true humanity and declare we should never do evil. Since we all fail to meet that standard and only Jesus met it, this means we know we should use Jesus to draw the line. Compared to Jesus, how am I doing? How are you doing? How is he or she doing? When we draw the line with Jesus, life comes into focus and we maximize sin without trying. Also, our judgmentalism vanishes and we experience unity and humility. Watch more of my videos to see how this works.